Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time, presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who is trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream who wants to aspire higher and accomplish that dream. This week's Monday conversation, I am happy to be sitting down talking to Dawna Kelly. She is the owner of Abrakadoodle of Wayne County, and she's going to give us a lot of entrepreneurial nuggets and wisdom today. Dawna, how are you doing?
I am doing great, Antoine. Thanks for having me.
Likewise, thank you for agreeing to the interview. So, Dawna, let's start from the beginning. At what point did you decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Tell us about your background.
Well, my background is I have a bachelor's of science in computer science and an MBA in finance. And most of my career I've spent as a management consultant. So I worked for companies like Ford Motor Company. I worked for Microsoft. I spent a good chunk of my career at Deloitte. And all around doing management consulting, whereas we did business process improvements, large-scale financial systems implementations, got a lot of experience, working with different large-scale organizations who pretty much relied on us to train them to, improve their business.
At what point did you, decide, hey, you know what, I want to own my own business. I don't want to, work in corporate America anymore.
Sure. So I've always, had a sense of wanting to own my own business, but really pushed me over the edge, so to speak, is when I was working as a management consultant. I did a significant amount of travel, and anyone who's ever worked in the consulting field understands that that's just part of the job. What else is part of the job is working a lot of hours. So I was okay with that because it was all part of the learning experience. But it got to a point where I realized that I could be spending this amount of time with my own business.
Yeah.
I feel grateful that I work for, companies that, afforded me the opportunity to learn as much as I did learn. But after a while, I figured, well, maybe I should try this on my own, So that was the impetus for me to even start researching business.
Absolutely. At that point, you just really it dawned on you that, all of this effort, time, and energy can go into something that you can create for yourself and for your family to own years down the line.
Absolutely. And of course, business ownership gives you the opportunity to be independent, to chart your own path. You have more control over, your financial growth and just over the projects that you want to participate in. And for me, it was bigger than owning my own business, so to speak, was bigger than just transitioning to another job where I was in control. I wanted to do something that I was really passionate about. I wanted to do something where I really felt like I was giving back to the community. And I wanted to do that, based on how I designed it, not based on how my manager or based on how a company decided they wanted to use my talents.
Passion and, give it back to the community are the two things that, kind of steered you in the direction of Abrakadoodle. So, tell us, about that process, that transition when you decided to, open an Abrakadoodle franchise, and tell us about the business model. What is Abrakadoodle?
Okay, well, just in terms of the selection process, my husband and I run the business together, and when we, embarked on this whole, process to find a business that we wanted to run, we enlisted the help of a franchise consultant, and that's just kind of like a headhunter for businesses. So they worked with us over a period of maybe a couple of weeks, and we came up with a short list of different franchises based on what we were interested in and what we were passionate about. So Abrakadoodle made the short list because we're both passionate about education and just how it can change your life. Didn't think it would be an art education company because I've mentioned my background is very techy, finance and computer science. But the common thread in all of the jobs that I've ever had, what I really, really liked about them were the teaching aspects of those positions. So Abrakadoodle was a natural fit because education was at the forefront. I was still involved in the teaching aspect of a career, but this just gave me an opportunity to go into the school system and give back and be passionate about something that really means a lot to me.
Excellent. So what type of things do you guys teach in the school system? So like you guys are contracted by the schools to come in?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So Abrakadoodle is an international art education program, and we partner with schools and community centers to provide curriculum-based art programs for children. And we start at age 2, and we go up through high school. So we would bring the teacher, the curriculum, all the supplies to a school, and we would be your art program for the school year. We also have an art studio for kids, which is a separate location where kids actually come to us, and we do after school programs, we do birthday parties and special events and workshops. So all of the students that are enrolled in the Abrakadoodle program, they learn about different artists, they learn about different art techniques and different cultures, and it's all in an environment where there's no right or wrong answer. So our emphasis is purely creativity and imagination, and giving our students the opportunity to just create something from nothing, which is, something that they don't get an opportunity to do a lot of in school today.
Since you're based in Wayne County, that includes Detroit, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. So I will assume that that's a amazing alternative because when you think about the inner city or metropolitan areas, urban areas like that, a lot of minority kids don't really have opportunities like that. Do you think when you first started Abrakadoodle, was it a lot of resistance because of that, or tell us about the impact initially?
Well, when we first started, and this was one of the reasons why we thought Abrakadoodle would be a great fit for the city of Detroit, because at the time, and we started the business back in 2007, so that was kind of at the beginning of the recession.
Hmm.
And a lot of schools in Detroit didn't have art programs because of financial reasons.
Right.
But Abrakadoodle is a type of business where we can partner with the school and we can provide art based on your budget. If you can only afford 2 or 3 days a week or 5 or 6 classes a month or whatever it looks like, we can partner with you and provide you with an excellent program based on your needs. And that's how we started. We started with just one school that wanted art a couple days a week. And as we grew our business and as schools looked upon us as a leader in art education, and especially with the curriculum, they decided to add more days. And most of our schools now, we are full-time art programs at our schools. But I think you're right. It was a challenge initially because the budget it just wasn't there for schools. But I also think that was the opportunity because we could partner with them still and just provide them with whatever they could afford. Until we could get to a program that was, more substantial based on their needs.
Basically the issue, actually provided a door, for you to come in and provide a solution to their problem.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's so many creative kids. Period. Particularly in urban America that don't get the opportunity to showcase their talent or even to understand what their talents are. And this is not just visual arts. This is music. This is
Yes.
performing arts. So Abrakadoodle is just one of other art programs that provide that opportunity to kids. And art, it goes beyond just painting and drawing. There's so many benefits to other core curriculum subjects too. I mean, it improves math scores, it improves self-esteem, it improves a child's confidence. So it's much bigger than just drawing a picture. Art can do so much more for a student.
Absolutely. One of my best friends, he just told me the other day that his son is about, I think he's 8 or 9 years old. His son
Hmm.
told him that he wants to be a dancer and he wants to start a YouTube channel, dancing. And
Awesome.
it was a shock to him because he wasn't expecting that. But that just goes to prove your point of what you just said. It's so many urban kids out here that they it's not all about sports. It's not all about being a rapper or something like that. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
so many other things that we have interest in, and that
Hmm.
it very rarely is it unlocked. Very rarely.
Right. Yeah, all it takes is a little exposure to those disciplines for it to really come out. And the exposure, if you're a suburban child, you have the resources,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But oftentimes, in urban areas, you just don't have the resources. But with programs like Abrakadoodle and other community-based programs that sometimes grant funded, it gives a child the opportunity to kind of explore what they're interested in outside of math, science, reading.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So I know you mentioned that you and your husband run the business. Do you guys have any other employees, or are you just the two main employees that's doing all of this work?
No, actually, we have 27
Okay,
employees. Yeah,
27.
we have 27 teachers who actually go out into the schools and teach our curriculum based program during the school day. And we also have employees at our art studio for kids, which is in Canton, Michigan, which is right outside of Detroit. And we have employees dedicated to that facility that teach classes and conduct workshops and parties as well. So
Excellent.
we have some help.
What are the requirements if somebody wanted to, basically be a part of this? Like, do you have to be an actual teacher per se, or what?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you do.
Okay.
If you're going to be at a school
Okay.
during the school day, then the requirement is that you have to have experience as a teacher and have a certification too. And oftentimes, the certification needs to be an endorsement in art, meaning that you have to go the extra do the extra schooling to get the endorsement so that you can teach just art classes.
Okay.
So yeah, our teachers are qualified teachers, and you know it makes it better for the students, obviously, but also better for us too, because it doesn't require a lot of our training on our behalf. Although we do have our own Abrakadoodle training and our own curriculum, but if you are a teacher, then we don't have to teach you how to teach. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason
Right.
why I asked is because I was looking at it from an angle, whereas sometimes if a teacher can't get hired at a particular school, that could be like another opportunity for a career, as going
Hmm.
through Abrakadoodle as opposed to working directly with a school. Mm.
Absolutely. And what we find is that a lot of our teachers, they prefer going through Abrakadoodle because they're artists as well. So this would give them the flexibility to do their own artwork on the side, or, whatever other career like jewelry that they want to continue to do, but not necessarily be committed to a school full time.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot more flexible, for a lot of
Right,
people.
exactly. And the fact that we provide them with all of the lessons too, is a great deal for the teachers, and all of the supplies. And the supplies that we provide is they're high quality. I mean, when we do watercolor projects, we want our kids to use watercolor paper,
Hmm.
not printer paper or
Yes.
construction paper. We have a partnership with Crayola, so they get top quality supplies as they learn through our program.
How long have you guys had the art center?
You mean the studio?
Yeah, the art
The art,
studio. I'm sorry, the art studio.
yeah. We opened the studio 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
So the first 7 years of our business, we were basically 100% in the schools. And then the community, we did after school programs, but we wanted our own space to do our own programming once we got to a certain point.
Hmm.
It became too challenging for us after school to go from location to location.
I
And when
bet.
you have like 8 teachers teaching for 1 hour after school, and we just felt like it would be more efficient if we opened our own studio, had a concentration of all of our classes in one location. Um, and we just would bring teachers in the way we normally would. So it's worked out great. Parents have received it well. We have a membership program at our studio where students can take unlimited art classes
That's amazing.
for a monthly fee. Yes, and kids love it. And they are actual kids who they're here every single day. Every time we open the studio, they are here. We recently started a advanced art class for teens and quickly realized that we had some elementary age students that were advanced.
Wow.
We have a 7-year-old in our advanced art class.
7 years
and
old.
7 years old. And it's just from exposure to our program and the fact that she was very, very talented. If she didn't have, a place like Abrakadoodle to go to, she may never have discovered how talented she is in art and how much she loves art.
And what specifically, what type of art specifically is she advanced in?
Well, everything. We do
Everything?
drawing, we do
Okay.
sculpture, we do painting. But this particular lesson that we posted on our Facebook page was actually a video. It was a drawing project where the teacher asked them to look at a famous monument in the city of Detroit and draw it. And she explained the challenges that she had drawing her monument, and over what she did to overcome those challenges. So not only do they get the experience technique wise, they also are required to talk about their artwork at the end of the project. So they also get those presentation skills and those how to critique an art project. And so yeah, it's pretty thorough.
Wow. I always admired people who had that type of vision. I consider myself a creative person, but more so from the imagination, as far as writing and storytelling. But I always admire people who can draw something. I was never that was never my strong suit. And when you have a 7-year old that can do some things like that, that's amazing. And that shows that they have a bright future and they can go beyond what society tries to frame urban kids into.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, art it's a gift, just like any other discipline, but it is an absolute gift. And to see an artist in action is humbling. That's the only word I can come up with. It is truly humbling because they don't realize how special it is. It's so natural to them. It's like breathing.
Yes.
Whereas we make a big deal out of it. It's just a part of who they are, and having an opportunity to express themselves in their art is just like what you're doing. And it's the self-expression part of it, that if you give them an opportunity to do that, then they're going to flourish not only in that particular discipline but in other disciplines too. So that's why it saddens me to hear about schools when they take art out of the school altogether. Because now you have kids who are, visually inclined. Some students are visual learners. I am one of those students where I need to see the pie chart,
Me too. Yes.
And when you take that aspect out of the schools altogether, those students who are visual learners, those are the ones who are going to be challenged. It's not that they're not smart. It's just that they need those extra connectors to help them excel. And I know art is a great way to do that.
And you guys service some high schools as well?
Yes, we do. We have 2 high schools.
2 high schools.
Yeah, it wasn't initially. It's not a part of the Abrakadoodle model, so to speak. But we have some charter schools in the area that are K-12. And we started out with their elementary program, and they wanted us to continue with their high schools. So working with the teacher and, making the Abrakadoodle more advanced, we were able to, venture into a couple of different high school programs as well.
And with the high schoolers, how much of an impact do you see in that level as opposed to the elementary level? And do you guys have things in store that can help them get scholarships to college and things of that nature, or possibly art institutes in schools?
Oh, absolutely. We have, and the teacher really is the leader in all of that.
Okay.
And I think it's really important, and this is what we have in a teacher at our high school is the teacher has to be able to build relationships with the high schoolers because it's a different ball game. You know, it's more independent study. It's of course more advanced artwork, but it's also, you know, providing that level of mentorship to them for the students who really want to pursue
Uh-huh.
either like our education degree or they want to be an artist. Just that level of mentorship that an art teacher can provide to students. So it's really important. It has been for us to find the right teacher, period, but especially for high schoolers. Because one, you want a teacher that can manage the classroom. That's number one.
Absolutely.
You want a teacher that has the skills to impart upon the high schoolers, to challenge them, to keep them motivated, to keep them focused and interested. And you want to be able to pick out those students who, you know, have a real talent and want to pursue it as a career and provide them with some guidance. So all of those things go into play when you're looking for a teacher, especially at the high school level.
Mm. And I'm sure it's been a lot of trial and error when you bring on, teachers and people into your company, trying to find the right fit and people that can, follow the company culture that you and your husband has instilled into Abrakadoodle of Wayne County.
That's very true, and we didn't get it right 100% of the time, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we sometimes teachers don't work out. It is always our intention to bring in a teacher that fits the culture of the school. We don't just hire a teacher and, you know, introduce them to the principal and say, "Here's your teacher." You know, it's a team effort where we, you know, do our due diligence. We do, you know, the interviewing, we do the background check, and then we introduce them to the principal, and you know, he or she makes the final decision in terms of whether or not to hire that individual. But even when things look perfectly, sometimes they just don't work out. And for us, when that happens, we recruit another teacher and go through the process again, with the principal. And we're able to do it that way. And this is just from experience. We realize that, you know, and this is with any career, that relationships are everything. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
when you have a great relationship with the people that you work with, for school leaders, community centers, or whoever it is, when things don't go as planned, it's easy to say goodbye to someone that you don't have a relationship with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you really have a great relationship with an organization, they're going to work with you and try to figure out the best solution. You know, we do that with people that work for us, and our school leaders do that for us as well, because they understand that our intention is to provide the best program, period. That is our intention. I mean, we're always visiting the schools, we're engaging with the students, we provide our teachers with, you know, great opportunities, we support them, we listen to them. So our intention is always to put forth our very best. But even when you do that, sometimes things don't work out. And I think our school leaders know that it's not us, and we're going to give you another shot based on the fact that we know, you know, you're going to try to do the best thing possible.
You guys have been in business for over a decade, 11 years now. 11 years in
Yes.
May.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Where do you see your business going in the next decade? Where do you like to see your business at and, accomplishing?
I would like to be the art program for a school district.
Okay.
I would like I would like a school district to approach us and say, you know what, we have 40 schools, or we have 20 schools, or we whatever it is. We want you to be our provider for our entire district. That's what I would like. Now
Mm.
we have we average between 20 and 30 schools where we are their art provider, every school year. But you know, I would like to just, you know, have districts reach out to Abrakadoodle
Okay.
to have us run their art programs, and as well as openings, maybe a couple more studios in the Metro Detroit area,
Okay.
art studios for kids.
So although you have 30 schools, you don't have one complete district yet. That's
Well, we average between 20 and 30. So
okay.
this year we have 22 schools.
22.
So, but you're right. I mean, we don't have a district. We don't have like Detroit Public Schools or, Ferndale Public Schools or whatever the public school system.
Hmm.
And it's not the number necessarily that is interesting. It's just the confidence that we really like Abrakadoodle and what you've done so much that we want to bring you in to be our district provider for art. Even though we may have four schools,
Hmm.
that's still very complimentary for someone
Yes.
to say, we want you to be our provider across the district.
Mm. And it's kind of hard to believe that you guys haven't had that yet. I
Mm,
mean, with the body of work that you have done, over
mhm.
this time, it's kind of hard to believe that it hasn't happened yet. So I'm sure to be happening sooner than later.
I hope so too. I
Yeah,
think you're right.
Wayne County is huge.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
the
And I
opportunity is
really would
there.
love to be the provider for Detroit Public Schools.
Hmm.
To be honest with you, I absolutely would. I think we could do it.
Are you from
That
Detroit?
might happen. No, actually, I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And yep, I moved to Detroit about maybe 20 years ago, though. So
Mm.
this is home now.
Yeah, that's home.
Um, yep, I lived in Chicago for a little bit too.
Okay.
Um, lived in Indianapolis and went to school in Atlanta. I graduated from Spelman College and lived in Indiana for a while too. I went to Purdue for my master's.
Okay. And have you ever thought about expanding into any of those areas, like maybe going back home to Columbus and starting up there, or are you guys just focusing on, the Detroit area, of Michigan?
I have thought about it actually. We've done programs in Ohio, in Toledo,
Okay.
Ohio, which is about maybe 45 minutes south of Detroit. So we've thought about it,
Hmm.
um, but we haven't really finalized it. And we would have to hire a team of people just to work that area for us.
Mm.
And but that's something that we may consider in the future. But for now, we just want to focus on the Detroit and Metro Detroit area.
How important are goals, in your personal opinion, when it comes to not just running a business, but the type of business that you do run? When
Mhm.
basically you're providing art to students, how important is it for setting goals, and how do you, measure if you hit those goals or not? You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, every year we go through a goal setting, and this is really me and my husband. We kind of look at the way the previous year ended and just kind of chart out what are some of the goals that we have for the future year. And goals are really important because I mean that sets the stage of what you want to accomplish over the year. So even when I worked as a management consultant, most of what I did was business planning and strategic planning. So when you're doing planning activities like that, writing down your goals, writing down the steps that you need to take to make sure you realize those goals, it kind of puts things in action. If you don't write down goals, if you don't have goals, then things just kind of happen, just happenstance. It's just kind of a fly by night. And I've never
Yeah.
been a fly by night type of person. I like structure, I like organization, I like kind of charting out where I see my future going. So, goals, that's just a natural aspect of life for me, and definitely just as part of our business. So, but our goal setting is not very elaborate, so to speak. It's more, we don't sit and come up with like 20 to 30 goals.
Hmm.
We come up with goals for every quarter. So we have maybe three or four goals slash projects that we want to accomplish every quarter. And we evaluate those at the end of the quarter and come up with new ones every quarter. That way, the goal is not just a list, it's an action plan of what you want to accomplish. And it's just more effective for us to do it that way
Absolutely. And
and easier to manage too.
yeah, yeah, of course. And the reason why I ask is because I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs really understand the true power of goals. Like, yeah, we always talk about goals, but I feel like it's people just, saying things that they want to do, but they don't really make it a goal. It's not a priority. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that, and especially early in this new year, a lot of entrepreneurs really need to reevaluate themselves and ask, what do I really want to accomplish with my business this year?
Hmm.
Whether it be,
Absolutely.
quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
We really need to sit down and ask ourselves, what do we want to accomplish? And we, need to set timelines for it so we can actually hold ourselves accountable. I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't hold themselves accountable.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's part of the process too. It's not just writing out the goals; it's looking at goals from previous years and what happened,
Yes.
and what do you need to do to make sure that you fix some of the things that were challenges. But yeah, it's critical to business success, setting goals and um, outlining the steps to achieving those goals. I think that's missed a lot too. When people will write down a list of goals, but they don't look at each one of them and figure out, okay, so what is this going to take
Hmm.
from an effort standpoint, from a financial standpoint, staffing resources. I mean, you have to get very detailed with how are you going to accomplish the goal once you write it down.
What is some advice you would give someone who was considering, um, not just starting an Abrakadoodle franchise, but any type of business model similar to what you guys do? What is some advice you would give an entrepreneur who was looking to get into that field?
Well, if you're looking to get into franchising in general, I would definitely make sure you do your research,
Hmm.
because franchises are they have different aspects. I mean, they all have this a document called the franchise disclosure document that basically outlines all the specifics to the operation of the franchise. I think it's important to evaluate yourself first if you're interested in franchising, because franchising is a system that you follow. It's not necessarily, you coming up with your own ideas, every couple weeks. Is actually taking a model and using that model to be successful. I mean, you can still be creative and add your own background and creativity to it, but franchising for the most part, it's a model. So if you're looking at franchising, understand that, and also you know from a business perspective, if you're wanting to start a business, the biggest thing is just being prepared financially. Because it's going to take a significant amount of resources before your business is a success. And the amount of resources, of course, depends on the type of business you get into.
Hmm.
But make sure you're prepared financially while you're still working. Put money aside, to save for your business, and also understand all of the business skills that you need to be successful. Um, Business was, or Abrakadoodle was great for me. I mean, you would think that, okay, this is the art company, you have no experience in art. But I did have a lot of experience in business. So I
Yes.
understood business process. I understood, financial management. I understood marketing. So look at the areas where you have skill sets and find a business that you can run that would exploit those skill sets. I mean, I don't think I could ever get into the medical profession, or because I can't talk to that. I don't
Right.
know anything about it. So I just think it's important for you to just match up, your skills and experience with the business that you're trying to pursue.
Perfect. I totally agree with that. So, how can we get in contact with you and your business? If somebody in the Detroit, Wayne County area, wanted to, possibly bring you guys to their school, if they wanted to work with you guys, how can they find you?
They can find us on Facebook at Abrakadoodle Detroit.
Okay.
They can also give us a call at area code 734-495-0900, and or they can just send me an email at dkelly@abrakadoodle.com.
All right. And is there anything else you would like to add to all the aspiring entrepreneurs listening out there, regardless of their career background or whatever it is?
That if you're interested in business ownership, you can absolutely do it. It takes a little planning. It takes mentorship. So if there's some mentors that you can partner with that can help you, that would be phenomenal. But I think entrepreneur has certainly been a path that has been amazing for me. Taking that first step is always the hardest step. But if you keep moving forward, it is certainly something that you can definitely be successful with.
If you just keep moving forward, you will be successful. Words from Dawna Kelly. Thank, thank you very much for sitting down with us today on a Monday Conversation.
Oh, you are very welcome. Thanks again for having me.
Likewise, you have a great day. And everybody out there, let's continue to work, let's continue to imagine reality, and let's continue to aspire higher. Have a great day.